Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 6 of 7. So a couple things this week. I'm in a secret layer behind me. It's blurred out. You can't quite see it. The audio might be slightly different, slightly echoier, or slightly quieter. I apologize for that. It's just where I am. So, like always, we'll start with going back and looking at last week, but it's week 6 of 7, only one more week. This week probably is the busiest week. Next week, I will make a little bit lighter because I'm looked at some of the other classes going on. And in many classes, that last week, that 7th week, is rough. Everyone's doing presentations, finalizing stuff. So we'll get a lot of work done this week. Next week, it'll be a little bit lighter for the last week of class. But let's get started by looking back at last week. So I asked, will you continue to read? And honestly, here, I haven't looked at your answers yet, and I expect yeses and nos. It's okay. I was just asking, I'm just curious, and now you can look at some of the answers that your peers said and see if you agree or disagree with them. Yes, reading is fundamental. In the workflow, it required me to read. And I agree right there, right? Keep reading for hobbies for sure. College only prepares you so much. Yep. I've always said college is great, but not everything you need. Yes, absolutely. And I'm trying to adjust the screen so I don't give away anyone's name. I'd like to think I will keep reading. I'll have to work on it. Yes, right? Not all of us want to continue to do this. Not all of us want to read all the time. It can get troublesome. And I think it's fair. College is possible for us to equip with everything. And that's so true, right? Education's never fully equipped you. Never will. It's impossible. It kind of is what it is. And I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth, right? I don't read as much as I should because I'm in school. I'll probably read less. Yeah, I did it first in my career. Now I read more. Maybe it's because I have more time, or maybe it's because I see more value in it because I found what works for me. Wish college textbooks as part of your tuition, not as an added cost. There are colleges that are expensive. That do that already. They tend to you don't see it as a separate cost. You see it as a part of your tuition. It comes out the same in the end. So it's one of those things. It might be more convenient, but yeah. And I will agree, most degrees don't hold the same weight and importance as they did in the past. It's just the society's changing, and where the values go, where people see education, where people see value, will continue to change throughout your lifetime and your careers as well. I'll make an effort, but not sure how much I'll read. Yeah, I get it. Never been a big fan of reading. I'm not saying I ever was either, but I do it, right? I will because I want to add value to myself. Great. Depends on what I want to learn. Yeah. You know what? If it's not interesting, you won't read it. If you don't like it, you won't read it. And that's what happened early in my career. I didn't read things either because I didn't find them interesting. Yes. And I will say that is more yeses than I have ever seen before in any class. So you can congratulate yourselves as a class, or you can say, oh, maybe we weren't telling the truth. Either way, it's okay. Good luck. And you do need to continue reading to be successful as you move forward in your career. So I asked, do you agree or disagree with it? You only learn 3 things. You said disagree. It's no way we only learn 3 things. And I will say all of those 3 things are built upon the same thing. So it's just a matter of how you want to look at it. I agree. Oops, I got part of a name there. Let me move that over. I agree to disagree. Depends on the school and the educator. Everything is built on those 3 things. It's just how you look at those 3 things. Core concepts, and then you learn to stack to top those foundations. Yes and no. Here's the question. It's all based on interpretation and perception, right? Which can be skewed by our own biases. I am biased on this. I like my idea. I like my idea. So I like it. And it comes from me having a hard science background, and having a chemistry and mathematics background that I think almost everything is based on math. And I think you can make pretty good arguments that the entire world is based on math, and even English is based on math. But, this person says, I disagree. Second point, you're not wrong. Now I'm sitting here confused myself and probably overthinking this question, right? Yeah, these questions, sometimes there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. And that's how the world works. That's how business works. That's how society works. And, whatever, right? I agree. Only third thing depends on your major. I would hope nursing majors learn more than 3 things. I'm going to say they don't. They learn math, how to communicate, and all of the other things that go on top of that are just built on those basic principles, right? Again, maybe I'm just I asked a question to see what your answers would be, right? I agree. I do not agree. I think you get a good idea of a lot of concepts. I do not agree entirely, right? I can name something of value I've learned from most of my classes. What is public speaking? That's one of those three things. Public speaking falls in communications and history, right? Because you learn how to speak from your previous speeches. And again, I am arguing something to kind of make you think about it and argue it to the point of just to argue it, right? You're right. There's a large percentage of classes I believe are necessary. And I want to say something here that I think is truly, truly important. I don't think that any class I ever took along the way was unnecessary. I thought it in the time. I disagreed. But 20 years later, I realized that one of the most important classes I took was a class on dance history. I hated it at the time. It was the only thing that fit in my schedule. It fit one of those check boxes I had to have. Didn't appreciate it then. I appreciate it now. So it's interesting to think that some of the things you learn, you may not appreciate for 5 or 10 years, but it's still there in your brain. And why is college, why are liberal arts colleges like Barton set up so you learn a large amount of diverse things in the background? It's because you need that to build other things upon. And while you may not recognize it or understand the need for it or how you may use it right now, I bet you'll use it sometime in your lifetime. So that's my rant on that. All right. And then I asked, anything else? No. I do often act like a sponge once I'm in the workplace. This is different than learning at school. We all absorb knowledge differently based on how excited we are about it, what we take from it, whatever. Some people learn better in different environments. That's part of the road. And, maybe if you struggle at school, you'll do great in the workplace. Or maybe if you were great in school, you might struggle in the workplace. So you got to find a balance between the two. Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Catching the ends of some names, and I apologize for that. And no, and no, and no. All right. Pretty good. So in the discussion questions, I ask another question. Why is my cat named Schrodinger? And it's one of those ones, sometimes I'm just trying to see if you're paying attention. Sometimes I'm trying to get you to think. But let's look at your answers, right? Who knows? Schrodinger did experiments either on cats or use cats as an example, right? Yes, so Schrodinger's cat. It's an interesting philosophical and scientific and mathematic question, which goes back to my previous questions, right? So Schrodinger's cat, an interesting conundrum that's never really been fully answered or solved. But yes, Schrodinger's cat. It's an interesting thing, right? He likes peanuts or something germ related. No, that's not. It's Schrodinger's cat from the science, right? Schrodinger's cat experiment. The cat could be both alive and dead. Yes, and it's an interesting question if you ever want to do it, right? Name comes from a cat in the box. Yep, Schrodinger's cat after Edwin Schrodinger. That is all correct because he chews on things. Yeah, that is actually true. But one of those things. All right. Any other questions? Nope, and nope. All right. So that's all from last week. Let's take a look at this week. All right. So this week. I'll get the videos put in there yet, but they're not recorded yet, so they're not in there yet. You figured that out by now, right? So we have 2 chapters this week. We have a discussion question, and the discussion question and part of the chapter 13 questions kind of go along the same idea, right? So I want you to talk about this week because it's in chapter 13. It's a small part, but I think it's a big part. The benefits and drawbacks of using outsourced ideas, people, labor, whatever you want to call it, as part of your project management team goals, whatever, right? So that's what the discussion is about. Your initial post, you got to cite 2 things, due Wednesday. There are 3 responses to that this week. So moving on, your chapter 13, 14 questions. Like I said, I like this idea or hate it. I don't know. And I'm not even sure if I like it or hate it. Answer questions 2 through 4. Believe it or not, they're on outsourcing. Also, answer question 6, but it's about, it's a contract question. And I want you to also add to that question, who does this contract benefit more? You or the vet, and then explain why as well as what's asked at the question. And then in chapter 14, answer questions 1, 3, 5, and 6. And then finally, you thought you were done with your project last week, but nope. You don't think I'm going to let you get away without presenting it, right? Like I said here, almost every idea in the workplace has to be presented to someone. sometimes via email, sometimes wherever else, but usually you got to pitch it or present it in person or online. Somehow you got to talk about your idea. So how do you do that? Well, in this class, you'll create a 10-minute video that goes over all of that. I would encourage you to use visual aids, PowerPoint, Google Slides, something else, put it in the background, talk over it. Make sure it's professional. Make sure it's well done. And then upload it, record and upload it. I would highly suggest, I only make these things once and sometimes I mess up. I'd highly suggest this time, maybe practice it once, record it once, watch yourself do it. See if you could improve it. Probably could improve these videos if I did them twice. I never do. But this needs to be professional presentation. So maybe instead of doing it in your pajamas, you put on something that looks a little bit more professional. Is that fair? No. Is it what the working world is like? Yeah. Do I expect you to put on a suit and a tie and all the fanciness, outfits you have? No, I don't care. But please don't do it in a dirty t-shirt. That's all I ask. Look a little bit professional. All right. That's all I have for this week. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll see you next week for one last set of videos in this class.